This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Art Tatum, his biography, and best hits. Born in 1909 in Toledo, Ohio, and legally blind from childhood, Tatum developed a superhuman ear. He taught himself to play by listening obsessively, stride classical pop tunes, and by his 20s, he was already leaving seasoned pianists speechless. His speed, his harmonic imagination, those cascading runs, it was like he had four hands and a private hotline to the musical universe. Thelonious Monk worshipped him. Oscar Peterson admitted Tatum made him go back to the woodshed, and that's the level that he was at. Here are 5 albums every Tatum listener should hear. Number 1. The Art Tatum Solo Masterpieces. 8 volumes of pure unfiltered brilliance. 2. Piano Starts Here, the record that introduced generations to his firepower. Number 3. The Group Masterpieces. Tatum swinging with giants like Ben Webster. 4. 20th Century Piano Genius. And finally, God is in the House, the live set that earned its name. So that's Art Tatum, the man who made the piano sound limitless. And there was some insight into the biography and best hits of Art Tatum, more details coming up. Also coming up, some trendy music news. Stay tuned to the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan Silva to find out more. We'll be right back after some music. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Art Tatum, his biography, and best hits. During this hour, we're going to be talking about his biography. Art Tatum was born on October 13, 1990 in Ohio. Raised in a musical home, his mother played piano, his father dabbled in guitar. He was drawn to music almost before he could walk. But from a young age, life wasn't easy. Tatum suffered from serious eye problems. Cataracts had left him with severely impaired vision. He started on violin, but by his early teens, he gravitated to piano. With a combination of limited formal training and remarkable ability to learn by ear, piano rolls, radio broadcasts, listening, he cultivated a technique that would soon become mythic. He was playing locally by his mid-teens. By 1927, after winning an amateur competition, he landed a spot on Toledo radio. By 1932, Tatum made a big move, New York City. There he joined singer Adelaide Hall as an accompanist, a turning point. Shortly thereafter, in March 1933, he made his first commercial recordings for Brunswick Records. Among these were St. Louis Blues, Tea for Two, Sophisticated Lady, and Tiger Egg. The latter, played at a blistering tempo, immediately announced that this pianist was no ordinary talent. Words quickly spread. National touring jazz stars passing through New York, even Toledo, came to hear Tatum play, many astonished. Some recall that his playing was of a different order from what most people, even musicians, had ever heard. What made Tatum so extraordinary? First, technical virtuosity. His hands seemed to defy logic. Intricate runs, arpeggios, cascading notes, and blurring into waterfalls of sound, all while maintaining impeccable rhythm. Second, harmonic imagination. While rooted initially in the stride piano tradition, Tatum expanded jazz piano's vocabulary. Reharmonization, creative voicings, bitonality at times, transforming even familiar tunes into something fresh and dazzling. Finally, tempo and freedom. He could race through a tune with lightning-fast hand runs, while the left maintained a stride or walking bass fill, or flip between thunderous energy and delicate lyrical sensitivity. Some of his recordings, especially from 1940 and 50, became touchstones of improvisational brilliance. For many, Tatum was more than a pianist. He was a revelation. The piano played with freedom and inventiveness no one had heard before. During the 1940s, Tatum briefly led a trio with guitarist and bassist, shifting from solo piano to a small group setting. By the mid-1940s, he started performing in more formal concert environments. Between late 1953 and 1955, Grants commissioned Tatum into the studio. Over those sessions, Tatum laid down more than 120 solo tracks, an unprecedented project at the time. These recordings, raw, intimate, revolutionary, are among the richest legacies of his artistry. The late career Tatum, matured but still hungry, inventing on the spot. Behind the brilliance sat a man with demons. Tatum reportedly embraced a nocturnal lifestyle. After performances, he often stayed to play in after-hour clubs, jamming into dawn, drinking heavily. A few contemporaries said this unlimited freedom, playing whenever inspiration struck, brought out his most spontaneous and creative self, though the toll on his health was real. His life was hard, but his devotion to music never relented. He was driven, sometimes obsessively, to push the keyboard's boundaries. Quite simply, he was a musical explorer, navigating places no other jazz pianist had gone. When Tatum died on October 5, 1956 in Los Angeles at only 47, the jazz world lost not just a pianist but a force. But his legacy only grew. Virtually every major jazz pianist after him, names like Oscar Peterson, Bud Powell, Herbie Hancock, learned from, reference, admired Tatum. Not only pianists, horn players, composers, improvisers of all stripes absorbed the harmonic boldness and rhythmic flexibility that he introduced. In many ways, Tatum bridged the old stride piano tradition and the modern jazz sensibility, expanding what jazz could sound like. And there was some insight into the biography of Art Tatum, and this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Art Tatum, his biography, and best hits. Now it's time for some trendy music news. So now we're taking you straight into the deep end of Melbourne's experimental underground. Three sonic renegades, Tom Barton, Diego Villalta, and Nathan Leo, have just dropped their debut album. So this album is called Voyage, and the title isn't poetic, it's literal. This is completely improvised, free jazz electronic odyssey, captured in real time, turned into something like sonic sculpture. Imagine looped and layered vocals swirling like cosmic debris, electric guitar fractals bending around pulsating synth drones, every moment a leap into the unknown. Tom Barton leads with that shape-shifting voice. Diego Villalta, the Salvadorian Australian guitarist and visual artist, paints in sound, cinematic, daring, fearless. And Nathan Leo, award-winning pianist, composer, producer. Together, they create music that exists once. No retakes, no do-overs, just raw, unrepeatable magic. Their debut, Voyage, dropped December 5th, and if you want to support boundary-pushing Australian jazz, you can grab it now on Bandcamp. And there was some trending music news on the Weekend Jazz Update with Shashank Silva. We are going for a short break, we'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of Art Tatum's best albums of all time. Stay tuned. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Shashank Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Art Tatum, his biography and best hits. During this summer, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums of all time. Here's a quick recap of what's coming up. First up, the genius of Art Tatum. Pure solo fire. No band, no filters, just Tatum turning classics into jaw-dropping fireworks. You'll hear speed, sparkle and harmonies that still sound futuristic. This is the wow piano can do that moment. Then we roll into the smoke-filled magic of God is in the House. These live Harlem club tapes capture Tatum in his natural habitat. Spontaneous, intimate, perfect artistry. And finally, Tatum in the lineup. The Lionel Hampton Art Tatum Buddy Rich Trio. Vibraphone, drums and an unstoppable piano. A swing conversation that you can feel in your bones. 3 albums, 3 sides of a legend. And there was some insight into what's coming up during the summer, and this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Shashank Silva. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Shashank Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Art Tatum, his biography and best hits. During this summer, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums of all time. So the first one's called The Genius of Art Tatum, released in 1953. This solo piano compilation is perhaps the purest statement of Tatum's art history. No bells, no frills, just piano and magic. Across multiple volumes, the genius of Art Tatum catches him at a mature peak. Fingers flying, harmonies sparkling, every standard he touches transformed into a dazzling new world. So what to listen for? The almost supernatural clarity and speed of his runs, cascades, arpeggios, the reharmonizations, familiar tunes reimagined with chord substitutions and voicings that feel modern and fresh even decades later. Dynamic contrast, moments of delicate lyricism, then bursts of virtuosic fireworks. So why it matters? Because jazz piano before Tatum rarely sounded like this. With the genius of Art Tatum, he expressed what solo piano could be. Not just accompaniment, but a full orchestra in one man's hands. For many modern pianists, this became the blueprint, the standard of excellence. The second pick's called God is in the House, live 1940 to 1941, Harlem Club's Small Sessions. Switching from studio-polished solos to the smoky raw colors of late-night club performances, God is in the House is a legendary compilation. Informal recordings captured in Harlem clubs between 1940 and 1941, sometimes solo, sometimes with bass or minimal accompaniment. Released only decades later, offering a unique window into Tatum's live presence. What stands out about these albums is the spontaneity and intimacy. These aren't polished studio takes, they're real breathing performances. Maybe a few background noises, the slight roughness of the recording, but also the electricity of someone playing for the room, for the moment. Tatum takes familiar tunes, blues, show songs, jazz standards and turns them into private musical statements, full of personality and improvisational daring. From gentle, soulful renditions to blazing runs and rhythmic surprises, you hear the kind of versatility, the emotional intelligence that made him a pianist. So why this album matters? Because it gives you the club Tatum. Not the studio perfection, but the raw human live Tatum. Improvising, reacting, creating in real time. For many jazz fans, this is the Tatum that feels closest, the one with heart beating under the fingers. And finally, the Lionel Hampton Art Tatum Buddy Rich Trio 1955 trio with vibraphone and drums. For contrast and to show a different dimension of Tatum, we switched to a small group recording. Tatum on piano, Lionel Hampton on vibraphone, Buddy Rich on drums. This studio session from 1955 brings Tatum out of soul spotlights and into dialogues with rhythm, melody, interplay. Instead of carrying everything himself, Tatum plays with others, the vibraphone coloring the melody, drums giving groove and dynamics. The result, familiar tunes get reborn with a swinging group energy. Even though there are other musicians, Tatum doesn't often soften. His playing stays vibrant, inventive and commanding, but now it lives within collaboration, giving listeners a different experience than the solo or club recordings. So why this album is important is because it reveals another side of Tatum. Not just a solo showman, not just a club room phenomenon, but a musician capable of sensitive interplay, or contributing to a collective swing. For jazz fans who love ensembles, this album shows Tatum thriving in group dynamics, while still being unmistakably himself. By putting these 3 albums side by side, solo, live, club and trio, you get a broad portrait of Tatum's art history. The pure individual voice, solo, the genius of Art Tatum, Raw skill, personal expression, the spontaneous living jazz club energy, God is in the house, immediacy, improvisation, emotion and human depth, the collaborative group swing dimension, trio, Hampton, Tatum, Rich, interplay, groove, shared musical conversation. Together, they show why Tatum isn't just a pianist, he's a whole world of jazz possibility. So Art Tatum was never just another jazz pianist. Through solo albums, club recordings, group sessions, he stretched the piano's possibilities. His influence echoes decades later, not just in other pianists but in how jazz itself evolved. So whether you approach him as a technical marvel, a soulful interpreter, or a swinging collaborator, with these three albums you get a panoramic view. Brilliance, depth and versatility. And that was some insight into some of Art Tatum's best albums of all time, and this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Art Tatum, his biography and best hits. Now it's time for some trendy music news. So one of jazz's most funny voices has just dropped a debut that's already making waves. Pianist and composer Bill Angel has just released Benched, a collection of stories pulled from 40 years of surviving and laughing at the trenches of the jazz world. Now this isn't just some dry memoir. This is comic gold mined from a lifetime of high-profile concert halls, disastrous wedding gigs, unhinged jam sessions, and cruise ship nightmares. Angel holds nothing back. Fellow musicians will see themselves in every line, and if you're new to jazz, this is the perfect crash course in the absurd realities we all pretend don't happen. So this book features 8 satirical stories, all inspired by real events, also highlights from his long-running jazz etiquette column. We get a friendly jam session called Funeral, a cruise gig flirting with catastrophe, and a wedding job so cursed it borders on true crime. Critics are calling it devastating, hilarious and painfully accurate. So Bill Angel has played the world over, but Benched might be his most impressive performance yet. And there was some trendy music news on the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan Silva. We're going for a short break, we'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of Art Tatum's best albums of all time. Stay tuned.